Hello, friends. Welcome to Literary Concepts. Today's topic is romantic criticism. Now, let us try to understand the fundamentals of romantic criticism. Romantic criticism, which was started during the late 18th century and early 19th centuries. So, the romantic criticism was began during that late 18th century and early 19th century. So, as a reaction against the strict rules and rationalism of neoclassical criticism. So, it was started as a reaction to the strict rules and rationalism of neoclassical criticism during the late 18th and 19th the late 18th and early 19th centuries. So it was emerged from the romantic movement. The romantic criticism was emerged from romantic movement, so which focused more on emotion, imagination, individuality, and the very great nature. Okay, the great nature in art and literature. Understand? So, the romantic movement focused more on emotion, imagination, and individuality. At the same time, the greatness in art and literature, romantic critics, so they attempted to liberate literature from strict formal constraints. So they want to get that freedom in literature from the strict, very formal, official restrictions, constraints, and valuing the artist's subjective experience. So the romantic critics, they value the artists, that is the poets, the writer's subjective experience. Subjective experience means here the emotional, okay, influenced by the personal feeling, okay, emotions of a particular persons, and the organic unity of a work. Understand, that is the natural unity of a work. So this is about the introduction of the romantic criticism. Now let us try to understand the important characteristics of romantic criticism. So the first point is the romantic criticism focuses on imagination. So the imagination was seen as a supreme faculty of humankind. That is, imaginative power was considered as the supreme, the highest ability of humankind and capable of creating new realities. So, and it is having that ability to create new realities and perceiving deeper truths, understanding the deeper truths. And literature was viewed as an expression of the artist's imaginative vision. So, literature was considered and it was looked as an expression of the artist's, okay, the writer's imaginative vision. Understand? So the first characteristic is so romantic criticism focus on imagination. The second one is emphasis on emotion and subjectivity. So subjectivity means, so it is related to personal feelings influenced by the a person's emotional feelings. Understand? So here, romantic criticism, so they gave prominence to intensity. Understand? Emotional intensity and personal experiences, emotional feelings and personal experiences of both writer and the reader. So they gave prominence to the writers and readers' personal experiences and the emotional feeling. So literature was considered to be to evoke, to give rise to powerful feelings and connect deeply with human experience. It should connect deeply with human experience. It should attach with human experience. The third characteristic is the sublime. The sublime means, so here it is a very great, glorious, outstanding. So the concept of sublime, it was borrowed from Longinus, so who was a Greek philosophical critic, but expanded in romantic criticism. The sublime referred to, the sublime means here awe inspiring elements in nature and art. That is, an amazing, inspiring elements which we find in nature and art that transcends, that excels the ordinary, the general, the common experience. So that is sublime means. So it is an amazing, extraordinary, inspiring elements we find. Sublime means an amazing, extraordinary, inspiring elements which we see in nature and art. So that exceeds, that excels the ordinary, the common experience. And romantic writers often they explored more the grandeur of art, the greatness of nature. So the grandeur of nature, that is the greatness of nature and its impact on human soul, and the impact, the greatness of nature and the nature's impact on human experience, on human soul, on people. So that is the third characteristic, that is the sublime. Understand? And the fourth characteristic is organic unity. So that is organic unity. Organic means very natural, a natural kind of unity. Understand? So the romantic critics viewed literary works as organic wholes. So they are literary works. They considered literary works as organic, very natural uh, totality. Okay, the natural entities. Understand? The organic wholes. The organic wholes means here the totality as a unit, as a one particular unit, where that the form, that is the structure, and the content, that is the matter, grew naturally together. So the structure and content so develop naturally together rather than being artificially imposed, rather than it is separately or artificially imposed. And this idea, this organic unity idea, opposed the neoclassical emphasis on strict adherence to form and rules. So this organic unity, that is the totality, understand, the unity between the form and content. So this idea opposed the neoclassical emphasis on the strict following of the form and rules. Understand? And the next characteristic is reverence for nature, that is, respect for nature. Nature was seen as a source of inspiration. So, romantic critics, they considered nature as a source of inspiration, moral truth, and spiritual renewal, that is a spiritual restoration, spiritual renovation. Understand? Many romantic works reflect a deep connection between humanity and the natural world. In romantic works we find there is a deep, a strong connection between humanity and the natural world. Therefore, we find reverence towards, that respect towards nature in romantic criticism. And the next characteristic is individual genius, that is, individual talent. So, romantic criticism celebrated, they often celebrated a creative genius of individual artist. So that the creative genius, the creative talent of individual artist emphasizing originality and innovation. They emphasize, they focus more on that original character and the innovative, the new vision, the new thing, something creating new, that innovation in their works. And writers were seen as they were unique, inspired creators rather than imitators of classical models. So the writers, they were considered as unique, something separate, different, and they are the inspired creators. So they are the motivational, they are the creators creating something new instead of imitating, following the classical models. Okay, the classical writers. And the next characteristic is emphasis on the common man. So we find that focus on the common man, very common man. So the romantic critics supported for the inclusion of everyday life, including of that everyday natural life, ordinary language, and the common people in literature. So we find that these aspects in romantic movement, in romantic literature. The same aspects we also find in this romantic criticism, breaking from that elitism of neoclassical ideals, that elitist, that is the high class, okay, the high class uh, elite society of neoclassical ideals. Understand, these are the important characteristics of romantic criticism. The major figures and their contributions, the major right, okay, critics. The first critic is William Wordsworth, whose time period started in 1770 and ended in 1850. His important work is Preface to Lyrical Ballads, so which was published in 1800. So his key contributions are, he supported for poetry, he advocated for poetry, poetry as a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings recollected in tranquility. So we have to remember this important line, so which was given by William Wordsworth. Poetry was a spontaneous overflow, a spontaneous natural overflow of our powerful feelings and recollected in tranquility, so that is in peace of mind, understand. And he emphasized to use of simple language and themes drawn from common life, very general life. Okay, he focused more on the use of simple language, and the themes must be taken from the common life. And he criticized the artificial diction, that is the artificial use of words, and the rigid, the strict forms, okay, the strict structures, and promoting emotional authenticity, that is he promoted for emotional originality, genuineness, understand, originality. The next critic is Samuel Taylor Coleridge, whose time period started in 1772 and ended in 1834. His important work is Biography Literaria, which was published in 1817. So he distinguished, that is, differentiated between the primary imagination. So, primary imagination is the creative force, that is, the creative force, and the secondary imagination, which is artistic improvement. The primary imagination here, that the inherent quality of that creativity, and the secondary imagination means the artistic refinement, that is the artistic improvement, polishing. So the two imaginations, primary imagination and secondary imagination concept, okay, and the difference introduced, discussed by the Samuel Taylor Coleridge, and he discussed the concept of organic unity. So that is the natural unity where literary works grows like a living organism, just like a natural living creature, any organism, how it grows naturally. The same thing, literary work should grow in a natural manner, and it should have that natural totality, natural unity. And Samuel Taylor Coleridge explored the philosophical foundations of poetry. He explored that philosophical foundations of poetry and emphasized that interplay of emotion and intellect. So that is the interplay of the interaction of emotion and intellect, mind, talent. Understand? It should be the interaction between emotion and intellect. The next critic is Percy Bysshe Shelley, P.B. Shelley, and whose time period started in 1792 and ended in 1822. His key work is A Defense of Poetry, which was published in 1821. So he defined poetry as the expression of imagination. So he defined poetry as the expression of the imagination and a force for moral and social change. Poetry is a force for moral and social change, and he uh, supported poets. Okay, he considered poets as unacknowledged legislators of the world, capable of envisioning a better future. So he considered poets as unacknowledged, unrecognized, the rulers of the world, legislatures of the world, and capable of they are having that ability of envisioning, imagining a better future. And he highlighted the transformative power of art. Okay, so bringing the transformation, such power of art, and its ability to reveal universal truths, to bring out that universal truths. These are the key contributions, okay, by P.B. Shelley. And the next critic is John Keats, whose time period started in 1795 and ended in 1821. His important idea. So he introduced the concept of negative capability. So negative capability means the ability of a poet to remain in uncertainty and mystery. So the poet, he will remain in uncertainty and in mystery, and without seeking, without solving that mystery, that uncertainty, without finding any solution. So he will remain, he will stay in that uncertainty and mystery. That is negative capability. And he supported for art that evokes beauty and complexity. So he supported the art which invokes beauty and complexity, difficulty, without oversimplifying or moralizing. So art should not be oversimplified, or it should not be giving more focus on morals. So, but that should invoke, that should rise beauty and complexity. Okay, for such kind of art, he supported, he advocated. And the next critic is John Wolfgang von Goethe, so whose time period started in 1749 and ended in 1832. His important work is Faust, so part 1 and 2, and some critical essays. So his contributions, he combined romantic ideals into his literary and critical works. He used the romantic ideals the themes into his literary and critical works, and he supported for the universality of literature, that is the universal appeal of literature and its ability to transcend, exceeds that cultural boundaries. Understand? The literature's ability to exceed the cultural boundaries, the limitness of cultural boundaries. Understand? The next critic is F. Okay, the next critic is Frederick Schlegel. Frederick Schlegel, whose time period started in 1772 and ended in 1829. So he was the first to use the romantic criticism, first to introduce. Okay, he was the first to introduce that romantic criticism in Germany. Friedrich Schlegel introduced romantic criticism in Germany and emphasizing the fragmentary and evolving nature of art. That is, the incompleted, the disconnected, fragmentary means disjointed, incompleteness, or the disconnectedness and the evolving nature of art, ever developing nature of art. And he advocated, he supported for blending genres, different styles and forms, structures to reflect the complexity of life, to reflect that the difficulties, okay, the difficulties of life, the complexity of life. These are the important figures of the critics of romantic criticism. So I hope you like this video. If you please like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much.